So what is the paradox of non-duality? The paradox of non-duality is that non-duality implies that this is a world of oneness and not divided, not a world of two-ness, a world of oneness. Whereas how it seems to most people is that this world is made up of many things. So it's like you can count them: the sofa, the cup, the Lisa, the bag, the table, the computer, the camera, the light, the window, the fan, the feet, the telly, the cabinet. And so that's the paradox of non-duality. The non-duality's fundamental truth that this is not a divided reality, that this reality is made up of one energy or one life force, and it appears as many. So even though it appears as many to you, it's actually one energy manifesting. And really, like when you think of it, like why do you care at the end of the day? Like if this reality is oneness or divided, like what is in it for you? Like why are you investigating this, and why do you care about that? On the human level, I don't know if it has that many benefits. On the human level, psychologically, it might help you with certain ideas or certain beliefs about life, like predominantly about evil and outside and people hurting you, like seeing that it's one energy. So it might help with feelings of blame or feelings of dislike or hatred. But on the human level, I don't know if that information helps you that much, knowing that this isn't a divided reality. Like knowing it practically, intellectually. But energetically, shifting to non-duality makes a huge difference. Not to you, because who is this you? But this energetic shift makes a huge difference. Because it's a constant connection to source. It's this energetic shift in perception, where perception and the sense of being isn't held inside of your body anymore. It is everything. So it's this fundamental knowing, but not intellectually, that this this world is all made up of you on the absolute level. Everywhere you look is yourself. But that is talking from an energetic place. From the human perspective, from who you believe yourself to be in time, that information can give you, I suppose, a good sense about yourself as well, and a feeling of being bigger than yourself and being more important than what you are. And it also can decrease blame and hatred and guilt. But it's not, the shift doesn't happen on the human level. The human level is still a thing. The human level is still divided, is an object that appears in reality. So it's like believing, if you think that the human gets enlightened, it's like believing that there is God just in the cup, or God or the divine just in the computer, or just in one thing. To believe that the person can get non-duality, or that the person can become enlightened, is believing that a limitation can have more than something else, that a limitation can have more enlightenment or no enlightenment for itself. And all of that is in subject-object realm, because if you think about who is it that would know that they're enlightened, it's an object that would think about being enlightened, and all of that is dependent on a dualistic language. It's dependent on subject-object. So what is it that's beyond the character? What is it that wakes up beyond the character? Beyond you? There is this presence here that's always been here, this empty looking and this sense of beingness that's never left. Your whole life you've always had consciousness. Your whole life you've always had this sense of existing. That's never changed. And that actually isn't limited to inside the body. It's actually appearing everywhere and is everything. And in that appears a human that thinks about itself, that thinks, I am somebody that came into this room, I'm somebody that's sitting down and listening to Lisa, I'm somebody that will leave this room, I'm somebody that can do something to get somewhere. And all of that is in imagination, but there is something else that's always here, that's never moved. So when you wake up in the morning, there is instantaneous consciousness and knowing of this world, and then there is thoughts that come in and say, oh, I'm awake. But prior to that, there is this instantaneous consciousness that you can never switch on and off. You think to yourself, I can hit myself over the head and I can become unconscious. But actually, you just know waking up again, you never have unconsciousness. You only know consciousness. And that's all there ever is consciousness. And you don't get to manipulate it or to get more of it. So often people into this subject, they want to become more conscious. But you don't get more consciousness. It's like believing there's more oneness in particular objects. You don't get to have more consciousness. Consciousness is already inherently there. It's just overlooked because the person is always making itself a subject and the world an object, and it always believes that it's got to get to this consciousness. I've got to arrive at this consciousness. Where who is this I that you believe has got to arrive somewhere, that you believe is going to get to consciousness? Who is this I that rests in consciousness? Consciousness is your birthright. When you wake up in the morning and consciousness comes on, it's not like the person is sitting there prior to consciousness like, just let me type in the program for consciousness, send, and on comes consciousness. Who would be conscious of that? Consciousness is the fundamental, and then in that appears a person who then says, I'm unhappy, I'm not conscious enough, I want to be more conscious, I want to have more oneness. I'm stuck in the paradox of non-duality, I don't get non-duality. And it's never the person that gets it. The realization can shift the person, and there can be an effect that happens on the person in the spiritual search. But your essence isn't found in time, it's found right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. So the person spends a lifetime looking for itself, looking for that essence, that oneness, that non-duality. It looks for it in money, in lovers, in clothes, in possessions, in high heels, in TV, in work, in success. It looks for it all over the place, and yet there it is, experiencing. It's the birthright of every being, right here. It never left. It's so free and pure and alive and present, and it's not divided from anything. And this is the oneness part, this is the paradox part, because your essence, the consciousness, is not separate from anything that it's experiencing. There is no consciousness that's prior to the mind and looking at the world. The world and consciousness are one and the same thing. And this consciousness is actually not a thing, no thing. It's not containable or obtainable. And the consciousness also comes with this sense of existence, this sense of being alive. Some people call it the I am, but it's not a personal I am. It's this sense that this is, and that sense that this is also everywhere. It's not contained inside the body. So what you believe is that you believe that you are conscious and that you're inside the body, and that you're someone that's inside the body and someone that is conscious. And that someone goes to sleep at night, it does things, and it's always moving from moment to moment to moment. Whereas actually you are this awake presence that's here all the time, and the person is coming and going that, and the world is coming and going in that. And that awake presence isn't separate from anything it experiences. Anything. And this is talking about an energetic shift, not a mental shift, even though mental shifts happen in the person. It's not a perspective shift, it's this energetic, from being limited to inside to being everywhere. Your essence, that consciousness. And that's the way it always was. Consciousness has always been everywhere. There is no consciousness that is aware of the world. There is only the world. It's just this person, this illusion that you've believed yourself to be, has always been telling yourself that the consciousness is inside the body, that you're alive and that you're conscious. So it's given that appearance. And as this energetic shift happens, you realize that this whole world is made of love. It's not this cold, scary world that you're in relationship to, that will eventually one day kill you and eat you and consume you. That it's all made from love, and it's like a kaleidoscope turning in on itself and changing from one form to another. And that's who you are. So right here, it's in the looking, it's in the experiencing. It's not in the next moment, it's not in what you're going to get. It's not in what you didn't get, it's not in your mistakes or your joys or your happiness or your experiences. It's right here. It's that which is experiencing. So to me, the paradox of non-duality is, or the seeming paradox, but even though it isn't, it seems like it's a world made out of many, but actually it's a world made out of one. It's a beautiful paradox, if that's what we call it. So nice. So now I open it up. If anybody has any questions, they are welcome to ask questions. And you can ask them on Skype. My Skype address is Lisa Cairns 12. And you can either call in or you can write a question.